All right, we're back on the Trans Am, chipping away at little things. We got the header back out in the last video. We've yet to get the bung cut off and welded up. It's laying over in the floor over there still. Just rinsed the cobwebs off the radiator. It's been sitting over there on the wall for a year and a half. I got the shroud outside. I just washed it off. I think I'm going to paint it. It bolts back down to the core support there, so the radiator go back like so. I got to slide the fan over just a little bit more. I got to wire it up. We're going to finish that little bit up there. I still haven't mounted. I got to figure out how I'm going to mount the fuse box to the inner fender, and I'm going to have to mount the ECU, PCM, powertrain control module, engine control module, whatever you want to call it, over there on the firewall in the corner. And we're going to lift it up, put the converter bolts in it. The drive shaft needs to go back in it. And then we've got to order a battery relocation kit or of some sort. We're going to put the battery in the trunk. What else we've got going on here? Oh, I've got to cut the rod for the brake pedal down some, get that mounted up properly. Got lots of little things to tighten up here and there. Got to finish running the fuel line, so we'll run the fuel line to there. None of this stuff's tight. Just don't know exactly where it's what position it's gonna be in yet, so gotta get the starter on it. Get the wires ran to the starter. Not sure which wires go to the starter yet. We gotta get power. We gotta get a battery in it. Get our hot cable up here and get the ground situated for the battery. We'll mount it somewhere probably in the trunk. All right, we're gonna grab this header and go take it and have it fixed. All right, there she blows. Running up the road, get that thing fixed. Let's see what oh yeah, it fell. I painted this shroud yesterday. God, I gotta cut the grass up here. I was painting on this yesterday, trying to make it look a little bit better. It was windy as hell. It looks better than it did. We're gonna go with that. Get that shroud put back in over the radiator when I get back. We can stand it out here. It's been stifling hot. It was 105 in the shop yesterday. Said nope, not working. We went to the river, laid in the cold water coming down the river for a couple of hours, and then call it a day. I tried to come out here last night, still like 95. Anyway, we're gonna go run up the road, have the header bung put in the right spot, and yeah, hopefully that'll work out for us and we can get that back fairly quick, and we'll go from there. All right, so ran up to Bethany Steel in Ball Ground, Georgia, and Steve Tucker hooked me up on fixing this header, putting the bung in the right place. Just got back from running up there, and so we deleted the bung and the top, moved it over to the side. That should work out. We'll put it back in the car today and find out. So hopefully that'll keep it from banging on the floor. I hope, and if not, we'll have to massage the floorboard just a little bit, but it should be fine. It took I don't know, ½ inch to an inch of clearance out of that, and moved it to the side where we can actually get a sensor in it Again, I want to thank those guys. If you ever need any steel in the North Georgia area or any fab work, they do roll cages and suspension and all kinds of stuff like that. And that's probably who I'll have put a cage in this thing, and whatever else I need done that I can't fabricate myself, I'll be hitting those guys up. My buddy Paul Baxter put me in touch with those guys. That's the first time I ever met them. I'm surprised. Haven't met them before. They look familiar, so I've probably seen them at the track before. But anyway, it's about to rain here. I gotta get my butt in gear because I'm way behind on this Trans Am. All right, working on getting the fan shroud and the fan and the radiator back in it. Got the top bolts on. I gotta go underneath here and get the bottom of it. We'll raise it up. See what we got to do. I'm gonna figure out. Gotta figure out a hose between here and there. We may not be able to run the shroud. I was kind of hoping we could, but we may not be able to. All right, so I gotta find a bolt for that side. I got the shroud to work so far. I don't know if it's gonna work with our hose, whatever hose configuration we have to deal with. Man, this thing is covered in cobwebs. So I got my wiring here. This is where our wiring used to go this way. I'll probably, and I just got it grounded right there. I'll probably plug this in here, and our wiring is coming from that side now, so I'll redo that. Said I don't know if our hoses are going to work. Shroud's not going to interfere with this bottom hose, of course. You just have to go from there to there. That should be pretty easy to come up with. The top radiator hose is the one I'm gonna have trouble with. We'll see if I can't come up with something that'll fit and work. I'm listening to Rocky Mountain Race Week. It's the last day. Got the live feed on. I'm about to turn it on the television. Just trying to keep up with that with all my buddies down there racing. I'm gonna pop this header back in on this side and go ahead and bolt that back into place, get the oxygen sensors in, wire those up, and we'll start playing with this fuel line, getting the fuel line ran. Still have to, still never fully mounted the filter regulator. I think we've kind of determined we're going to put it something like that. I thought I bought a 90 for that, but I can't remember. I thought I did. I'll have to look around and see. Anyway, lots of little stuff. We're gonna keep chipping away at it. I stabbed the header back up in there, and I put the O2 in. It's not bolted down tight, but all the bolts are in it. Just want to make sure all the bolts would go in good and nice and easy. Before I had trouble getting the bolts in it because the bung was up against the floorboard, which you can see we've got clearance now now that we've moved the bung to the side, and the oxygen sensor fits no problem. So even if it was shoved all the way over, it would still fit. But what I'm still lacking is a little bit of floor pan clearance for a pipe to slip over. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this back out for like the 80 millionth time, and I'm gonna just massage the floor in just a little bit so the exhaust shop will have a little bit of an easier time putting a pipe over that. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, if they're going to do a slip fit over, if they're going to weld a collector onto that like a 3-flange. I don't know how they're going to end up doing it. It's not my it's not my wheelhouse. Not my wheelhouse. I don't do that kind of work, so they can figure that out when they get it to an exhaust shop. Basically, all I'm going to do is have this thing running and make sure there's no leaks and driving. And then take it to the exhaust shop and then bring it back here for if we got to finish up anything, or if that may be the last step. We may just run it on straight headers here until everything's finished, and then he can drop it by the exhaust shop and then let her rip, tater chip. So, all right, let me lower it back down and pull the header out again. Okay, Got the header back in. I do have everything tight this time, and I went to town on the floorboard a little bit, and we got plenty of clearance now and get my hand all the way around it. I'm probably going to put some extensions on here. It is going to be a little close to this this cross member when you come straight off of here, just because, I mean, the header is just not a good, it's just not good on that side, but this side should be fine. We should have a direct shot off of that. It's going to be close on this cross member, but it is, and they have to dimple the top of a pipe right here to keep it from clanking on that. So it is what it is, but I'm going to put some extensions on here to run it. I may just run a little piece and with a turn down, and just turn it down, just basically turn it down at this piece of the body, because the oxygen sensors are too close to the end of the pipe. I don't want to get an incorrect reading when we're trying to get this thing running right. I don't want it to be all jacked up, because the oxygen sensor is basically hanging out of the end of the collector there, and it's going to be sucking oxygen back in when you let off of it, and it'll give a goofy reading, and fuel mixture will be all screwed up. So we'll put a little extension on there so we can have some sort of a pipe on it for to take to the exhaust shop. I may even put a bullet muffler or something on it, just for a little test mufflers, you know. May put a little bullet in there with a turn down. Excuse me. Put a bullet in here somewhere, like a straight through, you know, with a turn down or something like that, until I can get to the exhaust shop. That's how I used to have it on my car. It was about 1.5 feet, 2 foot of exhaust sticking off the collector off my old Camaro, and that's how I drove it. It was loud. I don't plan on doing that with El Camino. I'll have something a little quieter. Sorry, I'm watching Rocky Mountain Race Week. It's an 8-mile radial class. I think they're calling it Rowdy Radial.
Left lane gets the win. For Travis Martin, right lane, unfortunately, limited that smoke. So we'll be on a second to check out the track.
Well, at least we have some floor clearance now. We're in a lot better shape than we were before with this header. Again, I want to thank Steve Tucker at Bethany Steel in Ball Ground, Georgia, for helping me out with that header. And we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. I may just start playing with this fuel line while I've got this thing up in the air. I need to hook up the speedometer cable, which is going to be probably geared wrong. I don't know if I ever got corrected or not. Probably should pull the pan off of that transmission and check it, but it really doesn't have that many miles on this transmission. It's just been sitting. It was rebuilt about 10 years ago, maybe more than that. I think it was 10 years ago. Anyway, so the training ought to be fine. Still need to get converter bolts and do that. I got to put the drive shaft back in it, just laying over there in the floor. So we're going to get going on some of that stuff and start chipping away at these little items. All right, they just wrapped up Rocky Mountain Race Week, and we just got a drive shaft back in this thing. We do have a shaft in it, which is good. I gotta run this fuel line, mount this fuel pump regulator. I still got a lot of wiring to do. I gotta figure out what wires go to the starter. Of course, these are our wires to our oxygen sensor. These really need to be shortened, but got an oxygen sensor, got a vehicle speed sensor, which can go to the tranny. I'm not sure how it will work on this tranny. I don't know. We might have to figure that out. Alright, so that's probably going to wrap this one up. Didn't do a whole lot in this video. We got the shroud got painted and put in. The radiator got put in. We got the header fixed and reinstalled, an oxygen sensor and floor massaged, and we got the drive shaft in. So that's the update on the Trans Am for now. We'll try to, this is Saturday the 25th. We're about to head out to Brainerd and try to record a little bit of racing up there. They have an Outlaw Society race, I believe it's called, and the street class has to go on a street cruise, so I may try to film some of that. I guess the next thing we'll do on this is probably try to finish plumbing the fuel system. I still have to plumb the brakes, which has to come off the power steering. The power steering pump has to plumb to the power steering box and to the brakes. So we got to figure out how to do all that. Like I said, we got to come up with a upper radiator hose that'll go kind of like this. This shouldn't be a problem. And then a lower radiator hose. We still have to figure out what we're going to do with the intake. Like I said, we may not be able to run that shroud. I was kind of hoping we would be able to. They often help with drawing air across the radiator to help prevent overheating, especially in traffic. So we want to maximize the cooling. Plus, I think it looks kind of cool in there like that. It looks super factory with that shroud in there. But if we have to take it out, we'll just have to take it out. We'll have to cut it across here, or find an upper plate for the radiator to hold the radiator in place, because the shroud holds the radiator in. We also have to figure out if we're going to put the expansion tank, which is laying right there, back into that corner. Still haven't figured out how I'm going to mount these this fuse panel, because it really doesn't have any good way to mount it. So I got to figure out how I'm going to mount that. Whether I'm going to do some sort of a big piece of Velcro, double-sided Velcro or something, and just Velcro it to that or something. I don't know. And I got to screw that one to the firewall. Still have to make a rod for the brake pedal. Man, we got lots of little stuff to do. I've got to finish the heater hoses and the air conditioning lines. They don't have any ends on them. They got to be cut to length and then press fit. Well, the AC high and low pressure lines have to have a pressure fitting put on so we can hook them to the compressor. I do have a kit to do that. I haven't used it in 15 years probably, so I got to relearn how to do that. Hopefully I've got all the stuff that we need to get to accomplish that. I've got to get a battery relocation kit and run power and ground. I just got the key recently for the trunk. I hadn't had it the whole time this thing's been here, so it's got some junk in here. Got to figure out where we're going to put the battery. This trunk's held a little water at one point, so it's got a little surface rust in it. Not a big deal. They put some Mondo stereo system in this thing. Look at that speaker box. That thing must weigh a ton. He's got to have his boom booms, I guess. Typically, I put a battery over the right rear. This trunk pan's a little different than the earlier third or second gen, so we'll see. Let's see. I don't know. Got to research that a little bit, so I want it to be easy to get the battery in and out, but also don't want it to take up the whole trunk. And it's got to be easy to plumb. All right, good times. I don't know. We got quite a list of stuff to do still. All right. Still have to wire up the vintage air stuff inside, which shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. Anyway, that's going to wrap this one up. Catch me in the next video. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. Give me a thumbs up. And if you feel compelled to help support the channel, there's a thanks tab down at the bottom of the screen. You can touch that and leave us a tip. It highly appreciated and helps the channel grow. We really don't make anything off this channel. Really not anything, hardly at all. So any little bit helps. Everything helps. We appreciate y'all watching. Come back, check us again in the next one. Like I said, we're about to head to Brainerd, go film some drag racing. Peace.